What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Already Did It, your movie podcast for reboots, remakes, sequels, adaptations, and why we consistently repeat these things over and over again. As always, I am your host, Blake Schultz, and with me is Terrence Tatum.
Hello, everyone.
And we are diving into the long awaited 28 years later, the sequel to 28 Weeks Later, the third in the 28 franchise, I guess is what we're going to go with. And
Yeah,
a movie, because it's no longer enough for a movie to be a movie when it has pressure on it, we might as well also have it be a jumping off point for a whole trilogy of movies. Because why not ever just make something and be like, it's enough, and we'll
this is
see how the
enough.
box office does.
Yeah,
No. Danny Boyle's back. Nia DaCosta's doing another one, and then Danny Boyle's back again for what is a very good, fun time. Terrence, what did you think of 28 Years Later?
this is a movie that I am so torn on because there's about 95% of this movie that I absolutely adore. And then there's 5% that you're like, what in the blue hell? And it sucks because the 5% comes at the very end, which is sort of the lasting memory that you have as you walk out of a theater. And it kind of sullies the film. Let me say this though. I think before we get to the ending, the first 95% of the film I love. I genuinely I can't get this movie out of my head. Like I love it a lot. There's a lot of Danny Boyle doing his Terrence Malick style of filming, and sometimes some shots are a little too
Gotta
artsy.
gotta get those iPhones going. We
Yeah.
gotta show them what they can do.
And it's great because I do know, like, if you are in the know of us, and I feel like that this movie does its best to feed the people who are film goers, but the folks who are just natural, just like, hey, I'm gonna go check out this zombie film, are going to be left asking a lot of questions. One, iPhone means zero to them. It's like, hey, the film was shot well. Like, but for us, we understand they're like, oh, there's some pretty cool shots here. The film itself, though, I think the story is what sort of wins me over. It's kind of with all of these 28 years later, but it's a drama first. Like there's a great heartbeat story that is happening amongst the sort of world falling apart, or in this case, had fallen apart. And we sort of have these folks almost quarantined to an island. Like, you guys keep your dead stuff over there, while the worst of the world is still kind of evolving and staying around. What I did love though is that the kid Spike and his family, it's a very much a movie about losing your innocence, or and your parents trying to continue to sort of shield your innocence. And when do we make that decision? It's like, oh, you got to grow up, you got to not grow up. And these parents of Spike have decided to like not tell what they already know, the truth of what's happening with with the mom out of this family, and that she's sick, and they're all doing their sort of piece to kind of keep it all together. And it's this story of a kid who, for better or worse, makes a wild decision to take her mother onto this path to see what actually is wrong with them. And they all sort of have this moment. They know, mom knows, but she goes with him. She still goes with him and does it. And when we finally find out what it is, you're like, oh, this is a really well done like art piece. It's a great like story, dramatic of a family of three who have all been dealing with this revelation in their own time, in their own way, amongst the rage zombies all over the place. And so it's a really well done, heartfelt drama that just happens to be in the zombie apocalypse piece, and I dug it. It's some tones that are all over the place from time to time, but it all sort of works in this big gumbo soup that you're like, this is an experience, and I'm glad that I saw it. Then the last 5 minutes happen. You're like, okay, now I don't know what the hell I just saw. And I'm more mad, and we'll talk about like the parts that I liked and whatnot, but I'm more mad about the ending, not because it's so tonally different. I'm more mad because you are now telling the audience this film is a pilot for whatever the hell we're about to do for the future, and this doesn't really have a complete story. And that's annoying.
Yeah, I think cliffhangers in movies are weird because there's some times where I give it a lot of grace. Like Across the Spider-Verse, I gave a lot of grace to because I felt like the story Miles was going through in that movie was finished, and then this was sort of what's next.
Right.
I give a lot of grace to Empire Strikes Back because it's perfect.
Yes.
Um, and then you have like Lord of the Rings. I give that a lot of grace because I don't know what it was like reading those books because I wasn't alive, but I knew the context of the movies when I saw
Hmm.
them, so I knew that was going to be a big thing. Uh, so I think when it's part of something bigger, we kind of forgive it and it can be exciting. Like I even think about The Matrix Reloaded and that very last shot where you're just like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh. Um, but this one's so weird because of where this is and where this franchise is. Because it's been a long time.
23 years since the second
Um,
one. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And so to kind of like bring us back in, tee us up, and then like leave us from a writing standpoint, it's very odd. And from an audience standpoint, I think it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But it does do so many things. Like we kind of talk about the like Terrence Malick over direction. Uh, it is kind of the shit that I eat with a spoon sometimes. Like I right away, because the movie does open with other characters who are going to go run in. My dad's going to help me with the zombie apocalypse. Oh, my dad's a crazy priest. We see the shadow of the cross, but it's upside down. So it's like the devil,
Hmm.
which is like, the most on the nose stuff that I'm like, ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
And then he does is like, it's the day of judgment. And he's excited. And that's also, I was like, well, this is kind of like crazy. And then we're
Hmm.
done with that story. We do exactly what you talked about. We do this like God of War light the road thing. Uh, and then there's some interesting stuff to pull there because we open with that first family getting ripped apart watching Teletubbies. When we meet our main characters, he picks up a like a Power Rangers toy, whatever toy it is. I don't think it is Power Rangers, but red
It's
action
like
figure.
it's just essentially the same. Yeah. The idea of a
Yeah.
Power Ring. Yeah.
And he puts it down, which is a very like it's very symbolic of what's going to happen
I'm losing
through
my
the idol.
I'm getting rid of my childhood. Like my childhood is
Yeah,
staying here while I go be a man.
my
Yeah.
childhood's gonna die. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put down my idol, and then we're gonna go and put like throughout the movie put down the father as the idol and kind
Hmm.
of put it all away. So when we meet also very Power Rangers looking, but very Teletubbies looking characters at the end, you do get this dichotomy of like one person moved on
And
and
the
one
other is
person
stuck in.
stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think that that's a great way of looking at this world because when we go back to that island, we can only get to the mainland when the water rises and
Hmm.
falls. And it's very, like, you don't dig into it too much, but it's very cultish. It's
Hmm.
very, there's masks, like, there's death masks. They're talking about this, like, great archer, even though he missed his shots. Everyone's still very, like, pseudo religious. There's no new technology. We know that there's so little technology that when we meet Eric, who's a soldier and he has an iPhone,
It's
it
like,
like blows
what
his
is it? Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
that it's even there. And that's really our only window into, I guess, the rest of the world. Cause like it has been 30 years since the first movie. There's a sense of normalcy when we see his, fiance who's had all of her work done.
Hmm.
And we talk about that. And so we're in this mainland that's just isolated, but then there's an even more isolated community. And now we're going to meet the other side of that coin, which is like probably just as crazy, but led by someone
If
who's
not,
stuck.
yeah, because I feel like it's very much also telling a tale of fathers. So like, while yes, Spike's dad is a bit strict, has some rules and like a bit of a regimen, but that's kind of the community's regimen, not just his. Um, there's still a father figure, whereas Jack O'Connell's character, Jimmy Crystal, is a cult leader, but his father's gone. So he's just been doing this. He's been basically raising himself up. And so it's going to be sort of showing two sides of, hey, the father figure is removed, whether he's strict or not. This is sort of what comes of it.
And he's still wearing the cross that his dad gave him, but he's
Correct.
clearly not
No, not
Christian or
of Chris.
Catholic. So
Yes,
that now means something else entirely.
correct.
He's got his buddies dressed up like Teletubbies. It's very interesting because I think it is a good look at like our world even. Like when we look at all of these, like, well, why are we doing this movie? And what is it? Why are we
Hmm.
retelling this? It's interesting to come back to this movie about moving on and kind of watching, I don't know, the film industry, our culture. A lot of us haven't put down the red Power Ranger. Like a lot of people haven't
It's a fair
really
point.
done
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's also a really cool way of looking at death. And I think when we get to the Bone Temple, which will be the next movie, and what I think is the meat of the whole movie, because we get to the MacGuffin, we get to the crazy doctor,
It's a
mom has
wow.
cancer,
Yeah.
and we're surrounded by the infected and uninfected. Oh, they're all the same now. It's very like a war memorial almost of like, yeah, these were
Hmm.
soldiers, but now in death, they're the same.
Yeah.
We learn a little bit of Latin. Remember, we have to die. And then we sort of force this kid to confront it. And I think it's an interesting choice to be like, you had a choice to move on or not move on. But if mom makes it, you won't. So she's
Yeah.
just going to choose to die.
Yeah.
I don't want to
She's good.
do it.
Right. Like if she just decides to keep fighting, you'd be perfectly fine. Like we're going to do whatever we can and risk your own life to do so. And it's very telling the look that she gives a Dr. Ian to just be like, no, go ahead. Like you and I are on the same page. He is not going to just tell me to die. He's not going to do it. He doesn't understand with cancer. Like we're telling him, I'm going to die. He's not getting it. I've been there. Like I've been that 15-year-old kid where they're like, your mom has cancer. And I'm like, oh, cool. She'll be back. We'll be fine. It's not registering what that means when you're that young. So they just like, we got to end this and sort of push him towards that ledge and do it for him. Which is it's an amazing, that's the climax, which is weird because this is a zombie movie, an apocalypse, but that's the climax of this movie. That scene is the high point of this film.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've talked about this movie and we haven't once been like the zombies, but I
But yeah,
think what's fun about doing a
swinging
movie,
Dick Sampson, we have not spoken about
Jesus, oh, we'll get to
yet.
it. But I think it's interesting to jump 30 years after this has
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Especially when like, I mean, what is it, 2025? So 30 years now is like the 90s, uh, the 80s, maybe. Like we are so far away from some of the things that are horrible, but aren't that far away either.
right. Yeah,
Um, and I think it's interesting to see a movie that kind of pushes that on us. Like we're barely far away from COVID, and people are already like,
correct.
"What happened?"
Yeah,
Um, you look at a lot of the horrible things that have happened in the world, and it's like actually there was like color TVs then,
yeah.
so
It's like we were an
um,
established community by the time that happened. Yeah,
right. It's crazy to be like, well, we were on the moon, but there were still
yeah.
drinking fountains that were different. I
Exactly.
don't know that that one's accurate, but you get my point.
No, it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
good, good, good.
yeah.
Not good, but good that I was
But
right.
yes, correct.
um, so it is interesting to see that, and in such a like, even the first time I saw the soldiers, a part of me was like, "Whoa, what are we doing?" Because I
Yeah,
think you, as the viewer, think the world has
I'm thinking
ended.
everybody is done. Like, there's nobody else here. I'm like, everybody is wiped out like that. And then that sort of re-enters you and like, oh, wait. So they just basically isolated these people and there's still a world kind of still evolving and doing the normal things that we are all doing. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. It's almost treating this family, I mean, this village, because of the lack of technology and living off of like Amish a little bit, they're operating almost as an Amish community, which is fascinating.
And you can definitely like, there's a lot of show don't tell in this, and you can kind of gather like, we don't know anything about Jack O'Connell's community, but clearly someone at some point in the history of this other one went, oh, this is an island most of the time.
Hmm.
This is where I will sit. It is a
Right.
very like, it's very Age of Ultron. Upon this rock, I will build my
Hmm.
church. It's very like, got it.
Yeah.
And so clearly someone got power, made all these rules,
Yeah.
did all these things. Because they even have like, when he first tells his wife he's going to do it, the mom is so against it that he's too
Hmm.
young. We can't do it. We can't do it. And it's very interesting to then bring him back into this like church setting and talk about him almost as if he's
If
like
he's
the
a
savior.
deity, a deity. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
never missed a shot. No, da
Yeah.
da da
And he's
da.
like, Daddy, I sucked. I missed every
I
shot.
I am not. No, I'm not the one. I am not him. Please don't do this.
Stop now.
Um, which is funny because then you get into the literal baby that we meet from Samson, the
Hmm.
uninfected child, and you have another great like here's a guy who's in the military and he only sees these infected as infected,
Hmm.
and it's like it almost doesn't register to him that it's like an innocent
All
baby.
right, this baby's innocent. Like you look at his eyes. There's no rage here. Like this baby's fine.
And now we have no idea what this means. Like in the next
No.
movie it could be like, well, this he's immune, so we
Right.
have to so Samson has to come breed with all of the women. uh yeah, you start getting into, and it is also kind of fun. Like there's a lot of small things. Like we spend a lot of almost like Resident Evil time being like, well, these are the bloaters and this is the alpha, and here's all the
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
rage infected people. And then when he says that to Eric, Eric's like, alphas, you make them sound like stockbrokers, like it's American Psycho. And I was like,
Yeah.
what a great like,
Because outside of this community, that just sounds you sound nuts.
and it's a great quick commentary on like how a lot of young men and people talk, not even young
Hmm.
men, people talk in general, like you have to be an alpha male and get out there and earn and da 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 da
Yeah.
da. And it is like, yeah, it's funny because like that came from wolves.
Hmm.
So to have a literal alpha with this big dick swinging around, uh, which just wants his
It's
kid
just like
back,
it. Yeah.
and
I
we see this doctor who can also just paralyze him and be like, "Shh, Simpson, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Sit
We
down.
should we should get out of here though before he wakes
This
up."
will wear off. We should not be here.
That wouldn't be good.
I love the scene with the two moms because I just what I refer of. It's basically the two moms, and even one, both of them with the sickness. It's a different sickness, but they both have a sickness. And in that moment, that all goes away, and they're like, "We're gonna get this baby out." And so, like, I'm not gonna eat you. I'm not dying of cancer. You're not raged. Right now, it's two moms.
We are
Honestly,
locked
we
in.
are locked in. We're gonna get this baby out of you, kid. And once the baby happens, then she goes back, oh, that's right, I need to eat you guys. But in that
Yeah,
moment, it's like a brief moment, like, we remembered at our basic level human function, we're both moms and we need to take care of our young.
I think it's a good way of being like they're still there.
Yeah.
Like their souls, their minds, they're just sick. And I think
Hmm.
that that's so much of what the mom's story is with the
Is
son,
correct.
of like, no, the she's still there. Sometimes she doesn't remember, sometimes this. Like
Hmm.
I thought the saddest part was the like your eyes remind me of your dad's, and then she just keeps calling him dad until she kind of
Hmm.
snaps back.
Yeah.
Um but I think that's a like the whole movie has this unique take on zombie films that we've sort of seen before of like, are they in there? But usually we're very quickly like, nope, kill
No,
it.
shoot them in the head.
Yeah. With the exception of maybe Shaun of the Dead when
Yeah.
he keeps Nick
Here's a
Frost at
pet.
the end.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any other zombie movies when we talk about doing something new in a genre that's kind of taken the zombie sickness and a regular sickness and been like, well, we isolated ourselves from the sick people, but we've also now isolated the sick woman from our
From her
community.
her community,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
her family, and we have to live our lives around her as if that's normal. Like the husband, I know he comes off as a bit of an a-hole, which is what the point is, but he's doing the thing that he's supposed to do in marriage. In sickness and in health, I got to take care of this woman. Like, yes, I still have carnal desires and want to still make love to like someone else because I can't get that from here. And I'm sure she would be okay. If she was cognizant, would be like, yes, go off and do that. But like he's still holding down his duties of a husband. Like I need to still make sure that she's okay. I still need to take care of her, and I still need to not be able to tell my son that his mom is dying. And so it's like, oh, that's a rough sort of spot to be in. And so when he smacks his son, it's more of like, I can't tell you what the hell's happening. We're both trying to protect you. But his son obviously is going to take the like, oh, the shield of whatever you are, my idol is now gone, and I don't see
I think
you.
that it's the last betrayal for him. I think.
Yeah.
I think the first betrayal is the lying to the community. The
Hmm.
second betrayal is cheating on his mom,
Yeah.
and then the final betrayal is hitting him. And I think
Yeah.
that's when the son is like, "Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm done.
I can't do this."
Yeah.
Which I think is also why I really like that letter he puts at the end when he drops off this infant baby, which is like also kind of great karma for this shitty dad to be like, oh man, well, my cancer wife is gone and my son is gone because of my actions, but now I have this
Now this,
rage infant to take care
right.
of. You don't get to go be with your little side piece yet, sir.
Nope. Starting life
um,
all over.
Yeah, I dug that was kind of his almost comeuppance of like, hey, dad, I'm okay. I'm gonna go on this thing though. Hey, there is a baby. It might be immune. We don't know
You're
because
not
it came out of
sure?
a rage person, but it's not infected. So
Yeah.
like now you have to save the
Yeah.
world. Uh, I'm
Hopefully
out.
it's yeah, hopefully it's hormones when it starts growing up doesn't turn to rage, but hey, you'll see. You'll test it out, see what happens.
Yeah, and I do love that kind of all swings back and kind of sets him up for this very what I imagine will be a journey of different worlds and kind of
Hmm.
finding what the truth is.
Yeah.
Um, and we've now dealt with the infect and the death that he could, in a weird way, become the messiah of this universe and be like, no, guys, like you don't understand. They're still there.
Hmm.
Maybe we can maybe put them over here and I don't know, steal their babies if they're not
Yeah,
infected.
like have
Uh,
them, yeah, like have them procreate and then just go in, someone steal their babies and then come on back
yeah,
out.
just like wait. I get like it is interesting of like if that's the first time that's happened, or has that happened before and they've just killed
Right,
a bunch of,
we've killed the pregnant rage zombies before they even could give birth.
or even if like a non-sick person is born into it, do other rage zombies? How quickly
Right.
are they infected or died
Yeah.
or whatever? Um, so there's a lot to explore because I know next we're gonna do the Bone Temple,
Yeah.
which I imagine that will be more about
It
that
feels like
chunk of the
that's
world.
Sir
It's a
Jimmy's story. Yeah, it feels like that's what it's. I mean, they shot them back to back, and they did so because they had the access to all the actors. Also, because Spike is at an age where that actor is going to grow rapidly if they take any time. So they're like, we want you to still be the same age, so we're going to do this all at once. So it's shot. Nia DaCosta, like they sort of did like a handoff, like here's your side of it, and so. I imagine because Jack O'Connell is so small in this piece that he's going to be basically the lead of whatever the hell
it would make
Boat
sense
Temple
to
is.
throw him to another father figure
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kind
And
of
then see that,
and
okay, my dad was an a-hole, but this
this
is
is
different.
crazy. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's a cool dichotomy and
yeah.
I think really I'm sure the lesson for him will be like best of both worlds. Like if neither one of these people are right,
Do the
then
middle of
neither
it.
one of them are wrong either.
Yeah.
um, Everyone's going to do the best for their community with the tools they have, even if those tools are jumpsuits based off of Teletubbies.
I think it's also
Um,
important to sort of note that from the stories that I've seen of Jack O'Connell and Danny Boyle talking about that character is that he is sort of loosely based on a UK British DJ Jimmy Savile who was and had a lot of issues and was very had a lot of assaults and pedophiles and sexual just a
great.
troubling man, but it was seen after the fact. Like in life he was this bigger than life character, everybody loved him, he could walk into any room and it felt the charisma, but then when he died everybody was like, wait a minute, this man has so many troubling issues. And it's going to be interesting if that's sort of what we do with. I feel like he's going to bring Spike in, and Spike's going to be like, "Oh, this isn't bad at all." And all of a sudden, as he gets underneath, I'm like, "Oh, oh no, 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 we should not be here." Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's gonna be a lot of indoctrination. He's found a
Hmm.
kid who's a good archer.
Yeah. He doesn't
Um,
have that on his. That power set is not on his Power Rangers team yet.
right. Yeah, I have to assume that it's gonna be a very like we need you to probably get us back to the Bone Temple. Maybe we'll
Hmm.
learn more. Like, well, there will be some prequely aspect to it
Hmm.
to learn more about that. And then I wouldn't be surprised if that lesson, if the doctor is like, no, you brought the zombies are bad, but these are the real
Yeah.
monsters. Like,
Right.
you brought the real
Chaos.
disease.
Yeah.
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 The disease isn't rage, it's misinformation.
Ray
uh,
Fiennes is great. Even in the limited amount of time that he comes in, I'm like,
I
oh, I want to see more of this guy.
I really, a part of me was like, I hope the Bone Temple is just him
Just him.
here doing
Right.
this
Yeah.
because it's awesome. Um, and then we don't know anything about the third one. We know Cillian
No.
Murphy's back for two of them.
So yeah, the understanding and what everybody they're saying is that they haven't filmed it. They haven't don't even have a script. Danny said they have an outline for the script. They haven't shot anything yet, but it is going to be Cillian. Like Cillian will be back, and I guess he's supposed to show up, kind of like a handoff from Jack O'Connell to that. It's supposed to be a handoff to Cillian at the end of Bone Temple. Uh, and then Danny's back directing the third one again. That is very. I think that might be the strangest thing of this trilogy. It's just sort of like Danny's been the sort of creator of this world. Granted, the second one was done by somebody else, but Danny, then Danny just seems odd.
It feels like that's how they're saving the time of shooting back to back.
Yeah, yeah,
It feels very like handed off to someone else who's a great director. I like Nia
hmm
DaCosta a lot. But clearly the box office is saying, let's go for three.
yeah,
Uh, at 30 million domestically, I believe is the number, and
correct.
80, 90 worldwide. And
Yeah,
that's pretty
um,
great.
that's pretty good. I will say it is important to note that both the cinema score for this is at a B, and the Rotten Tomatoes fan score is much lower than than the critic score. I think a lot of that, again, is to what I said at the beginning. The ending is what the most memorable piece of this, and I have heard nothing but people coming out of saying in the theater like either what the hell was that movie or what the hell was that ending? Like that ending, even if they don't talk about the film, they're like, what the hell is that ending? Worst ending ever. That is the repetitive thing that keeps coming up. And so that is just going to have a negative effect on any of your scores or your final what people report as their numbers. And like, yeah, I don't know what the hell I just saw.
What are we doing? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very. We talked about it for a bit at the top. It's very hard to do that. I can't think, with the exception of the Marvel movies, which put them in post-credit scenes, of a franchise or a movie that doesn't have an ending that isn't a part two. And I
yeah.
think you could argue, well, this is a part three, but it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
Um,
And they've never done this before. Like all of these films have sort of felt as a self-contained story. So to do that here just feels like ah. And I think you and I said this, and Sinners sort of did it the correct way, I think, is like, all right, we're going to finish our main story, and then we're going to give you a little breath and have like credits, and then we'll put you back in that world. That way, you as an audience have known that, like, all right, these are sort of separate thoughts. This is a separate moment. Half of you probably are already gone out of the theater by this point in time, so not everybody's going to know this. Your score is going to go up a little bit there because you've separated and gave a little bit of a breathing room.
and I think with Sinners too, that's so much more of just like an epilogue.
Correct. It's not
Um,
a story beat
like
because we never
it and it
box
answers a
office.
question you might have where you
Correct.
walk out of that movie and you're like, but what happens to the guy and his
Yeah.
guitar? And it's
This
like,
is
why he was a successful musician until he
right.
was old, and then he
Yeah.
ran into the vampires
Yeah.
again, and they
Yeah.
simply wanted to hear a tune
I
before
just
they
want to play
left.
me some music.
Yeah.
Still the best song I've ever heard. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's so that's very different. I don't really know what the answer is
Yeah, I don't
if
either.
you want to do it. I guess the answer is like have a complete script and a complete movie and then make your sequel, because you could have very easily put like the Jack O'Connell's intro with the priest at the top of the next movie,
Correct.
and then done your 28 years later at the bottom like you like to do,
hmm
and had our kid run into Jack,
Correct.
Power Ranger sequence,
Yeah.
off to the races.
Correct.
Like you could have just kind of slid those out of there, and then put him at the top of the other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So
But
I don't I don't know how this is going to do after this week, especially with what else is coming out. Like I feel like this is a movie that made its money now and is probably going to fall off of a cliff really quickly
I would
based
say
on
so.
word on mouth.
We've
Yeah.
got what, Megan 2 and F1 next
F1 and
weekend.
Megan 2 are like, and Megan 2 is, although it's more of an action comedy now, but they're going after the same sort of audience for the most part. And F1 is just like the Top Gun of this summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, we this this whole industry goes week to week, but it's like the last few weeks we've been like, look, oh my God, we're back. Actually, no, some of those movies didn't make any money, even though they had high numbers. Oh, 28 years later did okay, but it might drop off because next to 28 years later, Pixar's Elio is like the worst opening
The
for
worst
Pixar,
Pixar opening
and
ever.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything about Bride Hard, so I'm going to assume that it didn't make
Oh,
money.
it's not even in the top 10. Yeah, it made nothing. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
I'd have to go look digging up those numbers to see that. Like it's nowhere. Yeah.
And then you're just like F1, Megan, Jurassic World,
Yeah, you were in it.
Superman, I
Yeah.
Know What You Did Last Summer,
Yeah.
Fantastic Four. So it's like, ooh, gotta
It's a
clean
bloodbath.
up here.
This is kind
Yeah.
of that week of like, all right, let me get in and try to get something before all hell breaks loose.
Right. Well, before all hell breaks loose, you should leave us a review and a comment if you're on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, you can also watch all of Terrence's trailer reactions and episodic reviews for TV shows. We are on Twitter at Hollywood ADI and TikTok at Hollywood ADI. I'm at As Always Blake, and Terrence is at Terrence Tatum. And we will see everybody next time.
Later.